Good evening, I'm Abby Phillip in New York, and tonight, political revenge is now the Republican Party's policy. Governor Larry Hogan dared to say that the rule of law deserves to be respected. And for that, it's now put him in the crosshairs of his colleagues and that three-letter committee that is supposed to be in charge of helping him win in November.
Does the Republican National Committee support Larry Hogan for Senate?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't support what he just said there. I think it's ridiculous. And I think anybody who's not speaking up in the face of really something that should never again have seen the light of day, a trial that would never have been brought against any other person aside from Donald Trump.
But does the RNC support his bid?
The respect of anyone. Well,
he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone?
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point. And quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel.
Ignoring what the court says because you don't like the conclusions of Americans who were just doing their civic duty, that's not what Americans think, actually. The polls that are measuring how Americans actually think and feel in the immediate aftermath of this Trump verdict, well, just take a look at what they found. Americans think that the jury actually got it right, that Trump should have been convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. And 49% say that Trump should end his campaign. But the virtue most important to the Republican Party is fealty. So they are happy to swim upstream against public opinion and against recent history. Hogan's very public statement means that he's likely headed for a public breakup with MAGA, if that wasn't already the case. And frankly, Trump doesn't have a great track record when it comes to picking candidates in truly competitive races. Remember, Trump backed Herschel Walker in the Senate race. Walker's campaign ended in a loss to Democrat Raphael Warnock. Remember Dr. Oz? Well, Trump backed him over a McConnell-approved Senate choice. Oz lost. Blake Masters, he was a Trump favorite too. Not a favorite of the voters, though. Adam Laxalt, Trump thought that he would win. He lost. In 2017, Republican Roy Moore got the Trump endorsement despite accusations that he sexually abused teenagers. Alabama, yes, Alabama, picked a Democrat. The lesson here, that revenge is a dish that you are supposed to serve to the other guys, not to force feed to your own political party. Joining me now is former Montana Governor Mark Roscoe. He's also the former chairman of the Republican National Committee. Governor, thanks for joining us tonight. When you hear Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, who's now the head of the RNC, saying that Larry Hogan doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's it's contemptuous, it's rude, and inappropriate. Larry Hogan is, for anybody, any conversation, anywhere, but particularly when you're talking about politics and our democracy. Larry Hogan is a distinguished office holder. He was elected in a Democratic state, strongly Democratic state. He was widely respected by virtually everyone he worked with. So, at the end of the day, the only thing I can think about is that it was immature, it was contemptuous, and it was rude.
Is that the role of the RNC, though, to basically say that a Republican who is currently running for office doesn't deserve to hold that post just because they disagree with Donald Trump on his criminal convictions?
Well, it certainly is not acceptable in my time, and neither is it acceptable in my understanding of the values we share. It has been more acceptable, apparently, to Donald Trump and his progeny and all of those who associate with him. That's the language of the modern day Republican Party, and it's more of a mob than it is a party, and they exercise and demonstrate that particular difference by their verbiage and their lack of good manners and good sense and honest purpose.
I want to play something that was said from Republican Senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis. He said this to CNN today, and it's basically a warning. Take a listen.
I think the big mistake that we make is to shift our attention away from a failing economy, a failing global stature. Those are the key issues that are driving voters in November. Why on earth we would shift our attention away from that? for any sort of quick fix on this decision doesn't make sense to me. Trump wins if we focus on those issues, regardless of what the sentence, what occurs with sentencing.
Just on the tactics, I mean, are Republicans making a short-sighted decision here by backing Trump on this issue and going so hard on this and not on some of those other bread and butter issues?
Well, you know, frankly, Abby, every race is about character. It's about the ability to have a moral code, a center that keeps our democracy, which is dependent upon everyone in this country consenting to that form of government, maintaining a level of civility that allows for people to actually communicate. If you can't respect each other, if you can't trust each other, if you can't carry on a conversation with each other and focus upon character, the primary point of our Constitution, then the entire country falls apart. So, frankly, Senator Tillis, in my judgment, is absolutely incorrect. The first judgments we ought to be making are about character, ethics, and a moral code that serves the people of this country well.
Not ignoring, of course, that this was a conviction and a historic one at that. Mark Roscoe, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.